Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's Aja with Principles of Increase. I'm so glad you decided to join me today because I'm talking about something I'm so passionate about, and it is home ownership, or being a real estate owner, property owner, however you want to call it. Being a homeowner has changed my life. Investing in real estate has changed my life, and I want everyone to have the opportunity to experience this feeling. Why? Because it is a great foundation for financial stability, and you also get to pass down a legacy. When you pass down real estate and hard assets like property, it can really set up your family to thrive for the long term. So I want to give you some tips on how you can be a homeowner using some creative strategies, because you might be like I was, a few years ago, where I'd be sitting on the sidelines watching my friends and families partake in this real estate boom. They're buying land, they're owning short-term rentals and long-term rentals, and they are prospering because they are investing in real estate. And if you're like, I don't know how I can do that, maybe you say I don't have the money, I don't have the time, or whatever your excuses are, I want to show you that that's exactly what they are. They're just excuses that anyone and everyone can own real estate, because I truly believe where there is a will, there's a way. The very first property that I had, I actually didn't pay anything for. And the second property I got was actually under $15,000, and I was able to renovate it and turn it into a profitable Airbnb. So I'm here to tell you that money is not your problem. All you need is a little bit of creativity to open your mind so you can say, that sounds like something I can do, and I can become a property owner or even a real estate investor. So before I jump into our list, I want to do a plug for my new ebook, Real Estate by Faith. You can check out the links below. Also, I'd appreciate if you join my email newsletter and you follow me on social media so you can stay abreast of some of these video updates. Obviously, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. So without further ado, let's get started. This list is massive. So what I hope to do also is to capture some of this information in a PDF guide. So that should be in the links below as well. So if you don't have time to listen to the whole video, or you want to kind of soak up the information, read it, study it, that will be available to you as well. This list is going to have at least 15 ways, we may get up to 16, 17, or 18, that you can use creative ways to be a real estate owner. All right, without further ado, we're going to jump into our list. The first way that I want to talk about is house hacking. It's one of my favorite ways to become a property owner, and that means you are an owner-occupant that is going to rent out a portion of your property. Owner occupancy is really important in this equation because that's where you get better terms on a loan. Oftentimes you can put less money down. You may even get a better interest rate than an investor loan or commercial loan would get you. So it's an owner occupied property, and there's a few different ways that you can accomplish this. You can get a single family house and rent out rooms. This works great if you are single with no kids and no spouse, but I know some people, including myself, who have lived in a single family home with their children and their spouse and rented out rooms. I don't recommend it, but it is a way that you can get started. The other way is you can get a multifamily property. You can get a duplex, a triplex, or even a quadplex or 4-unit, because your conventional loans or your owner-occupant loans go up to 4 units. So imagine having a 4-unit property, you live in one and then you rent out the others, and many times you should be able to collect enough rent to cover your portion of the mortgage. So you may not even have to pay a mortgage, and what happens is you can begin to save money on your living expenses, and what you don't spend on rent or living expenses, you can save up and pocket for yourself. Usually a lot of people use those savings to get another property. And imagine if you go on and get another 4-unit property, you just keep doing this for years and years and years, you can be the owner of several multifamily properties. So house hacking is one of my favorite ways. And then that ties into number 2, actually. So you can get what's called an FHA loan. It's a government-backed loan where you don't have to put down as much money. You don't have to put down 10 or even 5%. You can put down as low as 3.5%. And sometimes lenders will accept lower credit scores as well. The underwriting is a little bit looser in those loans. The caveat is that you'll have to pay a type of mortgage insurance, and there is an upfront fee, and then there's a recurring monthly fee that is built into your loan that you have to pay for the life of that loan unless you decide to refinance out. So FHA is a great way to become a homeowner. You can get a multifamily property using an FHA loan, which means less money down for you. And then essentially, again, if you're house hacking, someone else can cover your mortgage, and you rinse and repeat until you become a multi-property millionaire, hopefully. All right, on to number 3, and this is simply using a conventional loan. Again, this is an owner-occupied loan. So usually you'll be able to put down around 5 or 10%. However, depending on your credit score, your income, and some other factors, you can actually put down as low as 3%. And a lot of people don't know that, so they just automatically go for the FHA loan because they think, oh, 3.5% down. But again, depending on your circumstances, you can qualify for a conventional loan. You may only have to put down 3.5%, which is ideal because you won't have to have this mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, I like these ways, the VA loan, which is 0% down. So it's 100% financing. To qualify, you have to be a veteran of the United States Army. And there are some additional fees like funding fees, things of that nature. However, generally it tends to be a good deal. And I believe multifamily properties are eligible. If I'm not right, somebody correct me in the comments, but I want to say you can definitely get up to 4 units with a VA loan. Then number 5 is a USDA loan, again 0% down, and over 90% of territory or land mass in the United States qualifies for USDA loan, which is for your rural areas. So some of your far out suburbs. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, you know, a country farm. You don't have to live on a farm to get a USDA loan. And then I also want to mention that for your VA and USDA loans, there are also some construction flavors of that loan, which means you can put 0% down and maybe you can build a new house or renovate a house. So those are definitely options to explore. All right, having fun so far? I just want to remind you really quickly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out some of the links below. I am a licensed realtor, so I can help you if you have any questions about buying real estate, whether it's in Puerto Rico or Florida. I'm in Florida this weekend, or I also have some international connections, but you start off by filling out the form below just to tell me what your ideas are and what you're interested in, and then we can go from there. So moving right along, let's talk about the DSCR loan. So that's debt service coverage ratio loan. And that's a nice loan because you don't have to qualify with your income. This loan is not about that. This loan is about the income that a property generates, and typically you have to bring 25 to 30% to the table. So if you have maybe a single family property and the rent rolls are, you know, so much money a month, let's just say like $1,000 a month, you can submit all of that evidence to the lender and they should be able to give you or qualify you for a DSCR loan. But again, the caveat with that is you usually have to put down more money. But it is a great way for someone who doesn't have a whole lot of money or doesn't have a regular income. If you don't have a lot of money saved up, you can potentially have co-applicants. I believe they're eligible for, if you have like an LLC or a corporation, you just have to, again, bring that down payment to the table and your lender will qualify you based on the income of the property. So is this giving you all some good ideas so far? I hope so. All right, up next on the list, I think I lost count. We might be like at 7 or 8, but it doesn't matter. All you need to know is I'm going to give you a bunch of good ideas so that you can become a homeowner no matter where you are in life, what kind of money you have, what kind of money you don't have. So that's what's important here. So we're going to talk about one of my next favorite ways to become a property owner in a creative way, and that is using construction loans. So there are so many variations of this that you can execute. you can get what's called an FHA 203K loan, where you can get financing for the acquisition or the purchase price of the property, and you can roll in the cost of renovations into that loan, and you can still only have to put down 3.5%. So that is super exciting to me. And there are different variations. It doesn't necessarily have to be to FHA 203K. There are some like neighborhood lending services. I believe there's NACA programs. There are different programs depending on where you are, where you can get not only down payment assistance and grant money, but you can also get money to purchase a property, a distressed property, and the funds to renovate it. I think also there's like the home style loans, and those are, I want to say Fannie Mae. So again, some of the details I may not have perfectly straightened out, but when you see it in written form, you'll get all the links, you'll get all the details, so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The idea here is just to throw out some seed, some seed ideas, so you can say, oh, I haven't thought about that. Oh, I didn't think about that. So the next way that you can become a property owner, and I kind of alluded to this when we talked about the construction loans, is that you may be eligible for some down payment assistance and grant programs. So these are actually available at the county level, the state level. There may be some federal federal grants, sorry. It just kind of depends where you're going to be buying property. So whenever you are talking to your lender, find out, hey, do I qualify based on my income? A lot of times there are credit score requirements, but don't let that deter you. Still ask about it. There may be some funds, again, at the state, the county, the municipal level, and your lender should know about that based on where you're going to be buying property. And then also sometimes lenders themselves will offer things like lender credits. They may cover your closing costs. So that's another creative way to become a homeowner. And then just tagging onto that, again, I'm losing count. I want to also add that you have these things, you have what are called seller concessions, and you can actually ask your seller to help you cover closing costs if you don't want to come out of pocket. You don't want to spend too much of your cash to become a homeowner. So hopefully this is helpful. I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep going. The list is probably limitless or darn near, but I'm going to be brief. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about the rest of the ways that you can become a homeowner in creative ways. Alrighty, so let's go on to the next few ways you can become a homeowner in a creative way. These kind of all fit together. They are what I will call they will come under the category of like creative financing, you might want to say. So you have your owner financing. That means you don't go to a bank. And typically when you do owner financing, they also want a larger down payment. And sometimes you can negotiate a little bit better terms. So a common structure is, say you have a house for $300,000. Maybe the owner will say, I'll hold the note, I'll hold the paper. You don't have to go to the bank. Just give me 30% down, and then pay me maybe monthly interest only payments. Sometimes that's an option. Then you can amortize the loan in such a way that it would be a 30-year, the payment amount would be as if it were a 30-year loan, but the seller may only hold the note for 5 years, at which point you should be able to either build up enough equity, maybe you have some income streams, and you'll have some type of exit, maybe through a sale or refinancing the property. So that's a great way to become a homeowner. The issue there is you usually have to find somebody willing to do it, but it's not impossible. There are a lot of people that come into home ownership and property ownership with owner financing. And kind of like in that same vein, we'll talk about rent to own. So if you don't have the money for a down payment, sometimes a flavor or version of owner financing is where they'll let you rent the property, perhaps save a portion of your rent to go towards a down payment, and you all agree on a option to purchase contract within a certain period of time where you are able to get yourself together financially, and then you can own that home. And this concept has recently been commercialized in a somewhat efficient way. Check out Pathway Homes. I'll put a link down there, and they're offering right now some new construction properties that you can move in as a renter, and you should be able to leave that property as a homeowner provided that you qualify. Is this exciting, you all? Like, I never knew there were so many ways that you can be a homeowner, real estate investor, and it's not always about the money. Alrighty, moving right along, we're going to keep going in this vein of creative financing. Let's talk about assumable mortgages. So there are some mortgages, especially ones that come under, I believe, FHA and VA, and there may be some other types of loans that are actually assumable. So let's say somebody has a home they bought maybe 5 years ago for $300,000, and now their loan balance is, let's say it's $290, okay? So if it's an FHA loan and it is assumable, you have to check out the paperwork, but I wanna say most FHA and VA loans especially are assumable. The rest you have to check into, and you can actually, provided that you qualify, assume that mortgage, the same payments, the same interest rate. However, if there is any equity that person has built up, you'll have to pay the balance of that loan. I hope I'm saying that right. So if the balance is $290, I believe you'll have to bring $10,000 to the table kind of as your down payment, and then you can take over the terms of that loan. Along the same veins is subject to. That's where you acquire a property subject to the existing finances. Now, there are some legal considerations when you take on a subject to loan, so you'll definitely want to consult some financial professionals who can work through that process, especially a lawyer, a good title company that is familiar with those type of transactions. But it's kind of the same as assumable loans with a few little bit nuanced differences. Then you also have novation agreements, and that comes into play when you have a property owner who, maybe they don't have enough money to fix up their property and sell it at market rates, but you don't have enough money to acquire their property at a market rate. And so what you can do is come together, have an agreement where you put some, the proper paperwork in place and say, basically, you're going to partner. Mr. Homeowner, I'll fix up your property and you'll let me kind of borrow the property in that process. We'll market it, we'll sell it, and we'll split the proceeds in a certain way. And those are called novation agreements. Again, very important to have a title company or a title agent that understands these agreements and can execute on those closings properly, so the paperwork is in order. All right, so let's talk about another great way that you can become a homeowner creatively. You can actually get a property that is considered new construction, and that means usually you will put a deposit down on a lot. You'll work with a builder, and then the builder will build your property to some custom specs, or they may have some standardized homes. But the idea is that it's brand new construction, which is great for you because with brand new construction, not a lot of things are going to go wrong with the home in the first few years of ownership, so you'll save money there. A lot of times you'll get like a builder's warranty or a builder's guarantee in case something does break down. But one of the best parts of this arrangement is that the builder usually works with affiliated lenders, and they have some great incentives and some bonuses so that you can get into one of their homes. They may cover closing costs. They may waive certain fees. The bank may give you a lower interest rate. So prevailing interest rates for the average credit file buyer is 6%. You may be able to get an interest rate at 5%, which is going to reduce your total cost of home ownership greatly. Just even one difference in a percentage point that can make a huge deal in what you pay for your loan. So new construction is a great way to become a homeowner, and many times you can reserve your lot or make a deposit at a very minimal amount. You may be able to put down $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, and again, because this process they have it down pat, it's commercialized. A lot of times you can get into these houses between 60, 90, and 120 days, and then what'll happen is you'll close on your bank loan when that property is delivered. So I like it because it's relatively risk-free, or we'll call it a lower risk, because I don't think real estate is risk-free at all. But this is a great way to kind of hedge some of your risk and become a homeowner sooner than later with a great home that you're not going to have to do a lot of maintenance on, and you can even have the opportunity to customize it depending on the builder that you're working with. So the next thing I want to talk about, or the next subject, or the next way you can become a homeowner, is with land, buying land. So in this process, you don't have to work with like a commercial builder who already has preset plans. You know, they're going to do all these special things with the bank and all that. You can just kind of do a build as you go process. So there are some people that buy land and maybe they put a mobile home on it while they're getting their primary residence built, and they pay as they go. That's the nice thing about that. So if you only have $10,000 to lay the foundation, that's it. You're living in your RV or your mobile home and you're paying as you go. And it's a great way to save on interest if you don't want to get a bank loan. The other thing that you may be able to do is you can take a loan out against the value of your land to help you build the property depending on how valuable the land is. So you can work with local banks, and many times they will absolutely help you with that arrangement. The next thing I want to talk about is, we'll talk about auctions. And the reason why I like this method is because you can find very inexpensive properties at auction. Now, with all of these points, but especially with the last one I just mentioned, you may have heard that, oh, that doesn't work, that's risky. All of this has risk. There are some things that don't work. In real estate, you're always gonna bump up against a problem. That is just a given. And I personally was definitely afraid of buying anything at auction because I had heard horror stories, because you don't always get a lot of the assurances and guarantees with the title. You may not get a totally clean title, but if you ever get a property with a clouded title, with title defects, there are cures. Some of them may take a little bit of time and money, but it's not impossible. So I want you to seriously consider auctions. I will tell you that I bought a property at auction. I bid around $30,000, and for whatever reason, the winner they weren't able to execute on this purchase, so they gave it to the next highest bidder, and so I won it, and it was around $12,000, and I ended up, after closing costs and everything, around $15,000. And that property ended up being an absolute gem, beautiful. We rehabbed it. So auctions are a great way to buy inexpensive properties. You just have to know what you're doing, and don't forget that there is what is called delayed financing. If you use all of your cash at auction, you can work with your lender to get delayed financing. They will reimburse you or lend against that property, I believe up to 80% of the loan value. And again, I'm going to recap this in a PDF because I'm just giving you so much information, but I want you to get the high level ideas from the video, and then you will get the details in the packet that I put together for you below. I hope you are having fun so far, and more than that, I hope that you are learning something about how to become a real estate owner with a creative mindset and a can-do attitude. This last area of consideration is one that I'm very excited about, one that I just embarked on myself, and this is the idea of Geoarbitrage. So that means going places where your dollar is going to stretch further, or whatever country you are. Maybe you're using the euro, maybe you're using some other currency, wherever your currency is going to go farther. So right now we have a number of people that in the United States that are finding out places like Panama, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, and even places in Southeast Asia, and some places in Europe, the dollar just goes further, and they're finding out that you can have a higher quality of life because the cost of living is lower, and then also the cost of real estate is lower. And that's probably going to be another video, but I will tell you that it's something that I decided to do. I recently moved to Puerto Rico, and you can catch some of those videos about that experience. This weekend, however, I'm filming from Florida because I go back and forth to take care of business, and I'll let you know that there are some advantages to living somewhere where the cost of living is lower and also your real estate is lower. And I'll soon make a video about some of those things, the cost of living in Puerto Rico. Then we'll be able to compare that to other places. But that is one way that you can become a property owner. If you don't have enough money to buy something in the United States, go to Panama. Oh goodness, I was just looking at some different properties with a friend over this weekend. She was showing me their places that start at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, and these are beautiful new construction properties. You can go into the Dominican Republic and get condos starting at $70,000. And these are just some places. I know people, they're going over to explore African countries. They're going over to, explore islands where you can get property at, lower prices than you would in the US. And just to tag onto that, Geoarbitrage doesn't necessarily have to be overseas or in another country. There are people who live in California, but they invest in Ohio. They invest in Pennsylvania. So if you live in a high cost of living area like New York, California, maybe out west, you can choose some of those smaller metro markets where your dollar is gonna go further. You can get a property for 80, 90, 100,000. You can rent it out, you can flip it. So that's another idea. Geoarbitrage is just going where your dollar or your currency is gonna go further. Whew. That is the list, y'all. I lost track. I think I gave you 16, 17, 18 ways to become a homeowner in a creative way. I hope that this was really helpful. This was really inspiring. And I hope that it gave you the will to want to invest in property and become a homeowner. Like I said, it's something that has changed my life for the better. I want to remind you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then also check out some of the links before. And then also check out some of the links below, you all. I really appreciate your support. I really appreciate you hanging on with me through this video. Again, check out the recap below. There'll be a PDF. And then if you need some help building your faith, building your confidence, don't forget to get a copy of my book, Real Estate by Faith. This is for people who feel stuck. You think that money's stopping you, you think that knowledge is stopping you, but a lot of times it's just your confidence and your faith. So I want to show you how I use methods of faith to become a property owner over and over again. Thanks again for hanging with me, y'all, and I hope to catch you on the next video.